Meeting on Tuesday, May 2nd. Time is now 7 p.m.
One next.
Oh, yeah, you're on Tammy's. Same both.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to tonight's Transportation Benefit District meeting, Tuesday, May 2nd. Time is now 7:01 p.m. Ms. Wyckoff, would you please call the roll?
Too quick. Thank you, Chair. Board members present and establishing a quorum are board members Fulcher, Hanford, Davis, Gamble, Fisher, and Scarborough, and board member Kinney is attending virtually.
Thank you. All right, would you join me in standing for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Thank you. Tonight, the first thing on the agenda is a special order of business with Ms. Hassert.
Thank you, Chairperson Hanford. So tonight starts the next 3-year period for chairperson. Back in 2020, the board decided that since we had so few meetings and there's no rule that requires that a chairperson only serves 1 year, that we had extended that to be 3-year terms. The current chair's term technically expired at the end of 2022. So we are looking for the board to nominate and appoint a new chair, and if you are still willing to continue to do it on a 3-year basis.
Thank you. Okay, I'll open up the floor. I'm happy to do it, but I'm happy to have someone else do it if they'd like to. So open the nominations. Board Member Scarborough.
Personally, I'm happy to allow you to continue to do it. You do a fine job and you may have it.
Okay, do we need a motion, Sasser? We need a motion.
Need a motion.
Board Member Gamble, please.
Move to nominate Board Member Hanford as the Chair of the Transportation Benefit District Board Chair for 2023 through 2025.
Motion's been made by Board Member Gamble, seconded by Board Member Scarborough. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. Count is 7-0. Okay, that's fine. So the next thing we're going to do is do public comments. For those attending remotely, please indicate if you'd like to speak by clicking raise hand. And I will recognize you at the appropriate time. If you're joining by phone, dial *9 to raise hand. 3 minutes will be allowed per speaker. Ms. Wyckoff, is there anyone online? Okay, and there's nobody here that would like to speak? Okay, thank you. Next thing on the agenda is the consent agenda, Ms. Wyckoff.
Just the minutes.
Do you have anything you
Okay.
want to add or?
No, it's just the minutes from the August 23rd, 2022 meeting.
Okay. Board Member Scarborough?
To approve the consent agenda.
Motion's been made by Board Member Scarborough, seconded by Board Member Gamble. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is new business with Ms. Hassert.
Thank you, Board Chair Hanford. It'll actually be both myself and Mr. Peterson, our city engineer, who will be doing the annual report for the Transportation Benefit District. As you know, this is our annual check-in with the board, and we will also be posting this publicly. So also our annual check-in with the public to let you know just how we did, both for the finances as well as the projects that were undertaken by the city on behalf of the board. So with that, Ms. Wyckoff, if we could go to the next slide. We'll start with the real simple stuff here before I turn it over to Scott Peterson for the fun stuff. As you know, the board adopts the budget every year, and our budget for 2023 was just over $3.5 million. We reimbursed the city a little over $1.8 million for work that was performed. We do pay every year to be part of the Washington City Insurance Authority for liability insurance. I believe that that is the minimum amount because there's very little liability involved with the board. So we came in under budget by 1.65 million. Next slide, please. With that, when you look at where we started the year, cash in hand of just under $2.2 million, we received just under 1.6 in new revenue for the year. You see there the expenses. We actually ended the year with just under $2 million. That was designed to start decreasing that ending fund balance. The city has been able to do more work on behalf of the board for transportation projects. And we've also designed the 2023 budget to do the exact same thing. And they've got a lot of good stuff coming along. So with that, I will turn that over to Mr. Peterson unless there's any questions on the numbers.
Any questions? Okay.
That's very good.
proceed.
All right, thank you, Becky, and good evening, board members. We're going to run through a couple slides here just to talk about last year's projects. It's a little hard to see, but we have some red street designations on the map on the screen that represents Woods Creek Road, where we overlaid that last year, a traditional grind and overlay project there. And then we also did a Madison, which was a full reconstruction of the road where we essentially took it all out and reprofiled and rebuilt the road from the ground or from the base up through the pavement. Also did curb gutter, sidewalks, storm drainage improvements, utility work. So as from the TBD's perspective, that was a new project to fund, that a new style of project to fund, where there's a lot more going on with that roadway. As you can see, it equated to about 1.6 miles, and that's about 140,000 square feet, a little more than that. Go ahead, next slide, Jody. So here's some pictures, both on the left where you see Madison Street, a lot of what we call alligator cracking because it looks like alligator skin. It's a sign of pavement fatigue, failure, old stuff. Woods Creek Road, it has a lot of longitudinal cracking that was separating. Our crews spent probably a few years filling it with crack sealing, but it also had a lot of alligatoring. It's high time to fix that roadway too. The next slide, please. I think we got a little bit of video embedded in this one. And if Jody can click play, this is an example of what our typical grind and overlay does, where they have the grinding machine in the background and it's chewing up a couple inches of the existing road surface. It runs through a conveyor belt and it just feeds moving dump trucks full of asphalt grindings. Those asphalt grindings are then taken back to the asphalt plant where they're incorporated into yet new asphalt. So it's a recycling type program. So that's at the intersection of Turney and Woods Creek Road. We can go ahead and go to the next slide. I think this is a moving one too. We incorporated some drone footage this year, courtesy of one of our drone pilots from Parks, Mike Thomas. And you'll see him on the right-hand side, but on the left two lanes, you'll see the roads has some strips or stripes in there. That's from the grinding's teeth left over. And then on the right side, there's a fresh mat of asphalt 2 inches put back. On the coming up on the right, you'll see our drone pilot and our project engineer, Kim Klinkers, who's there. But also I'd like to note that there's a sign up to the right coming up as well. That's where we let the public know that our TBD dollars are hard at work. And so we leave that out for people to kind of associate TBD taxpayer contributions to important street work. And meanwhile, our contractors just paving and going, and it goes down pretty good. We didn't have any issues with, detours or whatnot. It was a pretty successful project. We can go to the next slide. This one here is on Madison Street, where it's a full reconstruction. This is again, bird's eye view. They're actually digging out for utility work. And so you can see it's a lot slower process than just grinding and paving. But digging out this particular thing, they're putting in underground stormwater facilities to, take care of the stormwater runoff. So that one also went quite well, and a lot of the citizens were happy, even though we blocked off the road for a few months. There really wasn't a whole lot of complaining about that. We can go ahead and move. Then once we get that all done, all of a sudden Madison's looking pretty good. Right here, we have a picture, active paving going on. We got the rollers out there kind of compacting and kneading the asphalt. A brand new mat. We got brand new curb and gutter flanking the mat. The sidewalk isn't in yet, so that will come later after the road's been paved, shortly thereafter. We wrapped around, tied into the side streets, just kind of made it really good. We put in some pedestrian bulb outs to help improve pedestrian safety crossing our streets. Our drone pilot went a little beyond that to turn around and capture Old Glory there. So I thought that was pretty cool. But anyway, and then on the ground, that's where I live. I'm not up in the sky. On the ground, we took some ground shots just showing Madison Street on the left. You'll notice new pavement, new curb, new gutters, new storm drainage. So storm drainage is special catch basins that treat the stormwater of pollutants. That comes with a little tree as well. On the right-hand side is Woods Creek Road with this brand new mat, looking pretty good. Okay, Jody. One thing that we do that's equally important is that while we're in the neighborhood, if we notice some curb ramps that aren't up to current federal standards, we knock them out and build in some new ones that are. There's a lot of ones that we need to work on. So you'll see in later slides how many we've accomplished so far, but this is just some examples of the different kinds of curb ramps we put in. But the yellow domes, and we just get them to fit the environment of which they're located. Candido's is up there and whatnot. Sorry, Jody. Most of the left three photos are Madison Street, and the right one is down on Woods Creek Road. Okay. What else does this TBD dollar help us? We do our annual citywide road maintenance striping. You'll see that up on the upper right. They're putting down some yellow lane line. They're also doing pavement markings on the lower right, putting in a turn arrow. Lower right center is our own crews doing crack sealing. There's our crews, they rent equipment and they pour in some nice hot tar in there to fill in those cracks. It keeps the roads from getting water underneath, which is its worst enemy. So we just try and keep the water out from underneath the roadway. It pays for pothole repairs, which Jody is pointing out with the white screen, and also pays for our road management program. There's a screenshot on the left that keeps track of our pavement conditions citywide. So where are we going this year? We're heading north and a little bit down south, but mostly north. We are targeting the lower farm, pretty much all the lower farm, as well as Country Crescent Boulevard, from the small traffic circle at the south all the way up to Rainier View Road where it ends. If the bidding comes in favorable, we'll do an add-on and do the first block of Rainier View Road, just to kind of catch that one. And then also Powell Street actually was intended to have been done last year, but the project design was delayed a little bit longer. So we're actually, in case you've noticed in the Facebook feeds and what, we're under construction right now. It started on the 17th of April. If you head down that way, you might be the victim of a detour route, but that's under construction and that should be all tidy up about mid-June. So looking forward to that long-awaited program to get going. So 4.5 miles planned for next year, and adding, we'll be excited to add that to these statistics here. Where has the TBD taken us since its inception? You're looking at the road map of the city, where all the red line work is where we have touched our streets with TBD dollars. You can see that's over 2 million square feet of pavement taken care of, about 34 center line or lane miles, probably a better example of that. But also, if you notice, there's over 200 sidewalk ramps that we have upgraded. That is a lot of ramp work. So it's just making it a little bit easier to get around town, if you're on your feet. So anyway, that's pretty good. For those who don't like to know square footages, we tried to find neutral ground and show a Seahawk football field this year. It would cover. Yeah, so we took care of that real quick. And so here's the Seahawk field, and we could cover 38 football fields with what we've done so far. So I believe that is the end of my presentation.
But if I may, one of the things that we are going to ask TBD to do towards the end of this year is to approach the city and request that we put a bond measure or a vote before our voters again to renew the TBD. As mentioned in the background on the agenda report, our particular TBD is funded with a sales tax. It is 0.2% of sales tax. So for every $10 you spend, you're contributing 2 cents to the TBD. And it is collected on any retail sales that are done within the city. So whether you live here or not, maybe you're passing through on the weekend, recreation, you're helping to support the roads that you are driving on. The challenge is that while the voters did approve that, because obviously we've had the money to be able to do very good works with it. And thank you for all the work you've done. I want, for one, live here and I love our roads compared to when I go to other cities. It's a little bit of editorializing there, sorry. The authority for the tax only lasts for 10 years. We can go out and we can ask for renewal. And every time we ask for a renewal, we can only go for a maximum of 10 years at a time. And so timing wise, while the money started coming in 2016 to be enough that we could hire the city to do this work, it actually began in 2015 or 14, towards the end of 14 for 15. So ideally, we would need to have that vote probably February of 2024. So we have enough time then, if it is passed, to notify the Department of Revenue so that we can continue to collect for the next 10 years. So something, I just wanted to plant that seed for the board. When we come back to you a little bit later, probably, I would say later summer, but not end of summer, when we talk about next year's budget, we're going to also talk about doing that formal request to the city council.
Great. Any questions? Comments? Board Member Gamble?
Hey, look at that. No, I mean, just comments. I mean, it's always fun to see it, in the aggregate. Remember the deferred, when we were talking deferred maintenance, and it just seemed like such an insurmountable hill. It's kind of fun to look back after 10 years of, I think we even made jokes about the office or office space because it was pennies, the rounding, deal or whatever. It makes a huge difference. There's lots of red lines there and lots of good work. And I agree. I mean, all editorial wise, different cities do not have it when it comes to that. So it's great. Love it. Nice work.
Thank you.
But can you tell me exactly when you're doing the lower farm so I can be gone?
Well, we are actually going live tomorrow with contractor bid advertising.
Okay,
So
that's it.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, yeah, I concur with what's been said. Appreciate all your work and it looks great. I'm happy to continue this, so.
thanks.
Okay, next item is staff department reports. Anything to report tonight? Sasser?
I think the only other thing is also attached to the agenda bill was the state auditor's annual report that we're required to do every year. It is due to the state by May 30th, but it was completed early. Most likely this next year, we will have an audit. We're on a biannual audit for the TBD. There's not a lot to have to do. So there's no reason to do it every year. So just giving you heads up on that.
Okay. Okay, any other department reports? That's it? Okay, board member reports. Does anyone have anything to report? Board member Scarborough.
I don't know if this is part of this, but we attended the Arbor Day tree
Oh, yeah.
planting. The Mayor Pro Tem did a fantastic job. Councilman Davis. Good to see a gaggle of fifth graders stroll down there for the ceremony, and then it was a nice thing to see. It was good.
Great. Is there anybody else who has anything to add? Okay. Executive session, we don't have a need. Okay. Yeah. Oh. Well, without any objection, we'll consider ourselves adjourned.